So, speaking of internet glitches, since this is a completely pandemic started organization, what challenges did you face apart from these technical glitches while running it, while starting a whole new thing on your own?
So, confidence was, of course, there because, it was just so new to me and I was just doing something that's way out of my comfort zone. So that was one challenge that I faced. And another challenge after some months was the unfollowers that was coming along the way. And I was not ready for so many unfollows or, just people just leaving because they don't like you. That's total rejection. So that was something that was a challenge for me. And time management and managing college would be the other most important challenge that I faced. But other than that, I think it's been pretty positive.
I'm glad. And I'm so glad that you kept going, just like you asked our other creators to do, keep
Yes,
going. Because, like you can see in the comments below, you're getting a lot of love and you helped a lot of people.
I'm so glad.
Okay, so at Sakshi, we believe in prevention rather than redressal, right? And we hope to nip the problem in the bud. And sometimes I wonder if our legal education should cover preventative mechanisms also, like having access to holistic education for kids. So, as a law student, how do you think we can educate the youth better about law?
So educating is very important for prevention, of course. So I'd say, just getting influential people or getting people who are good with kids, especially who can make them understand in simple words, to schools and to have conversations with them about right and wrong, about what is good lawfully is very important, I think, and that should go a long way in educating students and educating in the childhood, I think, is much more important than being educated later in life because you can actually use it throughout your life then. And so I think that is one way that children could get educated and which would lead to prevention thereafter.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up. That's exactly the work we're doing through the Rakshin Project at Sakshi. We're
That's
educating
great.
youth, the NFS youth, about all these things. We're giving them holistic education, gender sensitization. So I hope this creates a ripple effect.
It will,
And
I'm
like
sure.
you said, education in childhood is so important. And I remember studying about fundamental rights in civics, the very basic ones that we really should know. Like, I remember studying even right to life and personal liberty. But now, when I actually started studying law, I realized what all can come under it.
Of course.
And it's just an umbrella term for so many things. So in school, it's just like just learn these few
Yeah,
fundamental
yeah.
rights, number and write, but it's almost never application oriented, right? So
Yeah, of course, of course.
how do you think
So,
we can make it more application oriented?
so I don't know, but like I feel in childhood, like we used to study civics and all in class 7, 8, right? So I think the concept there is that we should just know what it is because I don't think we as kids would actually understand how it can be applied or, just go into in depth about how can the fundamental rights be applied. But of course, we should know so that we can stand up for something that's wrong with us. So I feel, see, like suppose the Constitution has, if you want to know about the Constitution, the fundamental rights are the essence of the Constitution, and so for the application process, I feel in simple words, if the teachers could just explain, like if something you feel is happening to you, you can not only just go to a police or something, just go to your parents so that they might see what's going on and then the parents could take some action because we as kids wouldn't understand the application process as of then, but I think they could at least incorporate in our brains that we could seek help from someone who is elder and who is knowledgeable enough to help us. So that's what I feel.
Right. Even speaking about it is such a huge deal and so
Of
difficult
course,
because there
yeah,
are
I'm
so
sure.
many power dynamics involved. In some cases, it's the parents violating law. So in
Yeah,
that
yeah,
case,
yeah.
children don't know
I
who to
true,
go
true.
to.
Of
So
course, I know it's easier said than done, but like it just needs to be told to students so
definitely,
that,
definitely.
yeah,
I feel like we need to cover all these grounds holistically, and I don't know why we are not doing that right
yeah,
now.
it's just like playing on the surface, like just
Yeah,
get it
yeah,
done with it.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's my whole school education summarized. So, throughout your journey at Trace Your Case, you must have come in contact with a lot of students, right? And you must have noticed these gaps also. And so, how has your interaction in general with students been? And what is the kind of cases that you get requested most to cover?
Okay, so the interaction has been varied, and it's so sad that most of the DMs that I get is about people seeking help about exploitation or something pathetic that has been done to them. And since we're just students, we are very young, and having faced all that in such a young age is really heartbreaking. And you know, it's not like I get only one DM in 2 days or in a week. I get two, three DMs at least in a day. And when most of them are such stories, it does feel very bad. And so I made a reel on private pictures being leaked, and it blew on Instagram. And at that, in those 2 weeks, the DMs that I got, I was just so I was just not feeling like reading all of them because it was just the same thing. The ex doing it, the boyfriend, the girlfriend, or someone just threatening them or leaking it. And it's just so sad when people are getting educated and educated people are doing that, and just it's just too sad. And then so these were the main things that I was told to cover, that you're being exploited, if you're being harassed, if you're being threatened, stalked, what can you do? And if you're being intimidated by people asking them for your nudes and all. So, and those are the posts that actually did super well on my page. So you can see the need for those kind of posts. And it is just so sad that people need those kind of posts instead of the other ones. So those were the kind of
Right, right.
interactions that I had.
Right, so seeking help from violence that has been inflicted by people who are closest to us, if those
It's,
posts are
yeah.
doing really great, it must be very, yeah, it's very sad. So, other than that, how has your interaction with students been like? So, I'm sure you've got a positive response. I can just see a comment right here saying that someone's preparing for
Thank
class
you so
and
much.
you
Official,
really help
you're
them.
really.
Yeah. So I'm sure it has been so positive. Is there a community of students that has built? Is there a law student community that exists that's trying to break down cases for their friends, or is it just law students who are trying to do better at college, breaking down the cases for their own selves?
So, I'd say it's much more than that, because law students, of course, because they need to study that to understand law, right? So, but there are also people who actually read my cases, the briefs, to gain just for general knowledge and just to understand what's there in law and what are the cases. So that gives me so much happiness that people are actually taking out the time and reading cases that I've put up, and so that they get the knowledge and understand what's what in law. So there are those kinds of people too, and there are law students. I don't think law students will be reading those cases as of now. Sorry, aspiring law students will be reading those cases as of now, because they'll have to read it in law school. So they'll be like, let it be, I'll just do it then. But people who are actually taking the initiative, and I have been told that people give me feedback that this thing was, I think, wrong in this case, or this could be changed or something like that. So it just gives me happiness that people are actually giving good attention to the cases that I've put on the website and actually reading them. So yeah.
I'm glad. I'm sure they'll continue to do so. So, can you tell us what made you interested in law in the first place and what keeps you going in the field?
So, I did not know I wanted to do law full-fledged until class 11 mid. Like I wanted to do it, but I was just like, yeah, I could, I couldn't, I could, couldn't. But so it was two. It was something personal that happened, and it was also suits. So it was
I
suits,
know.
and it was personal stuff that happened that made me actually, be inclined towards law and see somewhere and see myself doing something in law. So that's what got me into law. And what keeps me going is actually interacting with people who need help and who come to me for help, and being able to help them even when I'm a law student is something that keeps me going. And to see what I can do right now, and then to imagine what I can do if I'm a lawyer, that is what keeps me going.
I completely get that. I
Of
so get
course.
that. I recently took a law minor and changed my minor from something else to law because it just felt so urgent to study law right now. Because how can you not, right? It's one of
It's
the
needed.
most important ways to practice your rights.
Of
So,
course, of course.
so in the legal education that I have had personally and the ones I've seen in most colleges, it's it's giving students an understanding of the law, right? But a lot of laws that we have right now are very problematic. So uh, I feel like we don't inculcate critical thinking skills enough in students. So, do you want to highlight some of those gaps?
So I'd point out two that I've come across like a lot. So one is the rape law, and one is the law for stalking. So these are both gender specific laws. So the IPC says that a man cannot be raped or stalked. So it's just so sad to see that if some woman is actually, uh, stalking a man, but the man does not have anywhere to go. It's just that it's impossible for a woman to do something to a man, and a man has all the power to do something, and it's all imaginable by a man, but not by a woman, because not everyone in this world is, all not all men are bad, and not all women are perfect. So it's just so sad that according to the IPC and according to the Indian laws, nothing can happen to a man according to in the sphere of stalking and rape. So that is at least two gaps that I've seen and witnessed properly until now. And these are some gaps that, yeah, I've wanted to, yeah, talk to you about. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm sorry for our audience. I'm just going to be talking about these issues a little more. So if these things distress you, please feel free to leave the live right now for a bit or just mute us. Okay, so right, so continuing on what you said, when it comes to trans men or trans women, it gets even more complicated, right? Is there even a proper means of redressal?
Um, I would have to say, I would have to disagree with that, because I don't think I've come across any concrete law that
Same, same,
caters to them. Because if men
right.
are also not safe until now, then that's a very far-fetched issue, I think.
And stalking and cybercrime is something you said that you get a lot of requests about to explain. So, has that heightened during the pandemic? Because I've noticed in my personal circles, a lot of people have started getting stalked online and getting harassed online. So, I, I don't know if it's heightened during the pandemic or people are online so much more now that they're noticing it more now? What do you think?
So I wouldn't have felt it personally, because I started interacting with strangers per se after the pandemic hit, right? So it was I wouldn't be able to compare it personally according to what I felt, but I think it could be both, because of the pandemic, people weren't meeting, so online was just the mode of doing it, and online was also the mode of actually seeing what's happening. So I think it's a culmination of both, because it's happening there and it's all we can see, because
Right.
people did not pay much attention when everything was normal.
Right,
So,
right. That makes
yeah.
sense. And so many children are now getting access to the online sphere early on in their
Yeah,
life. I remember when I was 15, I had just started coming on Instagram, and it was still a very newish thing for us
yeah,
to
of
be
course,
on.
of course.
But now, because it's one of the only ways to get connected to your friends, they're exposed to it so early on, and nobody prepared them for it, right?
Yeah, of course.
So
It's
you
just,
see,
yeah.
our school syllabus really needs to get updated to include this.
It does, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's, of course.
So, do you have any final comments, anything you want to say to our viewers?
So, firstly, I would say thank you so much for listening to me, listening to two complete, I don't know, people talking about some stuff. I'm so glad that you're here, and I hope what I said today motivates you or makes you work harder to achieve your goals and achieve what you're working or passionate about. And I would just say that just you know be determined, and I'm sure you're going to do much much better and good in your life. So yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Harshita. I really
Thank
enjoyed
you.
this. And I hope this was just a starting conversation and all of us
Of
can take
course.
it to many places from here. And thank you to everyone for joining us. Have a
Thank you
good
so
day.
much for having me. I had a great time.
Same, same. Have a good day.
Good night.
Good night. Sorry. And I'm so sorry for the technical glitches. I have
It's
no clue
okay,
what
we couldn't do
happened.
anything about it.
I know. Chalo, bye.
Bye, thank you.
Thank you.